mean, it tells me, but then I watch it later and it's like, oh, you went live 10 seconds into talking and you cut off the beginning. But here I am. So, three things to discuss in this live stream. One is join Blue Sky. Now, this isn't for everybody, but if you're somebody who is on Twitter or likes to stay engaged in conversation and or even just see what's going on, like just, see updates, see what people are talking about. Blue Sky is so much better than Twitter that it's hard to even describe. It reminds me of when Twitter first started and people were normal because there's no bots. It's moderated well. No BS. It's really easy to block people if you find any, lunatics. So find me at. So I'll put a link below the video after the live is over, but it's the same name I use on Twitter, just at David Dole, DavidDoel .bsky.social. If you just search my name on Blue Sky, you'll find me. But it is so much better. So people are leaving Twitter in massive numbers right now. In fact, Blue Sky is the #1 social app on the App Store, and it's been that way for I think a week now. People are just tired of Elon Musk and his band of Nazis, so it's really good to build a community somewhere else. But go join there. The second thing, actually, I really only have two things to talk about. The other one was just gaming related, so I'll end on the gaming stuff. But the second thing I wanted to discuss here is how are you all feeling? Because this is, I'm getting deja vu from Trump's first term, where we're seeing all these names, come up for potential positions, and I feel like I'm just reliving what we already lived through to the point where I don't even find it interesting. Like I haven't done a video on Matt Gaetz potentially being AG, RFK Jr. I discussed the Elon Musk thing, but only in the context of a different story where the Trump team or the Trump orbit is getting tired of Elon Musk. It's just so first, I guess my question to you: do you even care? Do you even want me to talk about what these potential picks are, or should we wait until some stuff actually happens? Because right now it's sort of just like existential dread, like just waiting to see how terrible it's going to be, and I don't find it interesting, and at the same time, it's incredibly just debilitating. It's like it's sad. There is at this point, it just feels like when discussing that topic in particular, Trump and his picks, it just feels like there's so little to really do that it's just kind of putting, despair out into the world. And I don't feel like it's really even worth discussing. Not to mention, if you care to know about that stuff, check out the New York Times or whoever. Like every news outlet is talking about that stuff. If you really cared to find that information, you could find it. I have no real take to add because it's just like, yeah, it's what we expected. Like, what is that's kind of why I haven't talked about it. Or another reason why I haven't discussed is what am I going to add to that conversation? It's just like, yeah, I told you he'd be shitty and he's shitty. Like there's nothing to really add there. So because of that, all those reasons, I feel no desire to really discuss it. But in addition to that, like I just want to see the comments here. Like how are you? It's been over a week now since the election. How are you all feeling about your lives, the future? I think it's really important to stay within, or I should rephrase this. Mentally, it's important to sort of find your happy place, whether it's, with family, in your community, find whatever gives you motivation, gives you purpose, and really focus on that. Don't get too bogged down by, at least right now, don't get too bogged down by what is happening outside of your control, which is easy for me to say. Uh, but I mean, I got to take my own advice as well. Like it's tough for me because it's my job to follow this stuff. So it's hard for me to get out of that mindset of thinking about, these grander things because I have to see it every day and read about it every day. But for you that don't get too bogged down by it. There's not much you can do right now. Just sort of do what you can in your own life to better the world and focus on that. Don't worry at this current time. Like just worrying in general, I think is kind of pointless. So don't waste your energy, worrying about things you have no control over. That's sort of just like a general advice. Which again, I'm saying this knowing that's advice I need to also take. But if you can take that advice, I do think it's beneficial. Some replies here. Let's see if I can scroll. It's hard on a phone, but let's see. Gerb says, kind of worried. I'm a new father, so hearing RFK being involved in regulating health and food worries me. Yeah, I read a story today. This story's from Mother Jones from, I think, June of this year, where I forget what country it is now. I think it was Samoa. But essentially, there was an outbreak of measles due to misinformation about a couple of shots that a couple of children took that they died from. But that's because they were given the wrong shot. I think they were given like muscle relaxers or something else. It wasn't the actual vaccine. But based on that, RFK apparently had helped to elevate this anti-vaxxer in the region that then led to a lot of people not taking the vaccine, and something like 80 plus children died over this. This is the guy that is now tasked with potentially overseeing a health emergency. You see why I don't do videos on this. It's so fucking depressing that it's hard for me to really add anything of value to that, except just to be like, look at that crazy shit. Insanity. So, yeah, super stupid. Very depressing. Let me check some of the comments here. Casey says Samoa is correct. Yeah. So you can look at that. Just look up RFK Jr., Mother Jones, anti-vax. I'm sure you'll find the story if you want to read more about it. Fritza says, I'm really struggling, even though I'm not surprised. This still hurts a lot. Jason says, you don't always need to have a take. It's okay to just be dryly factual sometimes. I disagree because if that's all you want, you can just read the article. For me to do a video and simply like read a New York Times piece, I don't think it adds much value, and it sort of just feels wrong just to be like the guy that's just like, telling you facts and saying nothing else. So, I think part of my job is to educate through entertainment in whatever entertaining I can do in times like this. And when it's really just like information and facts and there's very little take to have, very little, input or commentary to add to it, at least from my perspective, I don't really see the point to doing a video like that. Let's see. Lots of comments. Not too shabby with the super chat. Thank you. Says, how do I gift Glizzy? I don't know what that means. But thank you for your super chat. Let me scroll up. Hey, I got a new follower on BlueSky. Maybe you're watching right now. So again, to reiterate the beginning, if you care to join a growing community of nice people, go check out BlueSky. It is a much better Twitter. I'm going to be using Twitter a lot less. Twitter right now for me is really just a news gathering medium. I don't tweet as much as I used to. And I am BlueSkying a lot more. I'm also on Threads, but Threads to me it's under Facebook, right? So it's still very corporate. There were things on there that are clearly not deplatformed, but not given the leverage or the elevation that they could. It's and a lot of things on Threads go viral that are just fake stories, or they're like bot accounts that are I'm trying to think of the example, but there was one where I came across where a person was telling this like long story about this thing that happened to them, and it was like really dramatic. And by like the third post, it's just a link to like a spam site. It's just like a completely fake account. And there's lots of that stuff on Threads. I'm not finding that on Blue Sky. Blue Sky is well moderated, well controlled. Threads is a little, it's too weird. So again, Blue Sky is the place to be. Again, if you care to do that, I'm not saying if you're not into being on social media, then don't worry about it. All right, probably jump off shortly. How many people are really leaving the U.S.? Asks Sabina. 0. I think that, I mean, people that are leaving are people that have the means to leave. So I saw an article. I think it was Evil Longoria, that said she's now living in like California, or not California, in Mexico and Spain. So she's apparently left the country. If you're a wealthy celebrity and you have the ability to, or you have dual citizenship somewhere, I'm sure some people are willing to leave, but it's not really something that most people can just do. Let me read through it really fast here. What's your Blue Sky account? So just look up my name, DAVIDDOEL.bsky.social. You'll find me. Or just look up my name, DAVIDDOEL. I'll also link to it in the description box below once this live is over. US Census, what's your favorite Call of Duty of all time? I don't really have. So, I play Call of Duty, but I never play them thinking like, oh my God, I love this game so much. It's more just like, it's a way to turn my brain off more than anything else. But the one I put the most time into was probably Modern Warfare 2, the original one. Because there's one with that name, right? That came out a few years ago, or a couple years ago. They used the same name again. But yeah, so the one that had a big splash on I guess it was 360 PS3 era. I played that one the most. The new one's actually pretty good. Black Ops 6. I like the new movement, but I feel like I just fell off of that genre in general. I just beat Metaphor, ReFantasio. Fantastic JRPG, but it's too damn long. Game's like 100 hours, and more JRPGs need to be 30 hours in length, I think. Soul Hackers 2. Fantastic 30-hour JRPG. Super underrated, underappreciated. I want to be clear, though. Metaphor is a better game. Of course. Metaphor is a fantastic game. But too long. I don't have the time. All right, what else? I'm scrolling through chats here. Kelly says, Doug Ford and Starlink. I saw that story. So apparently the Ontario government has reached a deal with Starlink, which I don't get, because there's Bell and Rogers. There's like Canadian companies. Not that I love them. They got their own issues. But I think relying on satellite internet generally is not something that we should be doing, considering the amount of space junk it creates. I think we should be expanding broadband, but there are better ways to do that with proper infrastructure investment than through Starlink. But Doug Ford, man, that's a whole other conversation. It's wild to see that he still is maintaining popularity. People don't watch my videos on him, clearly. I do. Like people are like, why are you talking more about Canada? And it's like I do, but it almost disturbs me that when I do a video on something that I actually like feel directly or immediately when it comes to Canada, that it really feels like I'm just farting in the wind, because I did so many videos on Doug Ford leading up to his election in 2018, or the PC's victory in 2018, and they won like a majority. And not that I had any illusion that I'm influencing people in any kind of massive way, but it's just like I know who this fraud is, and you freaks all voted for him. Why did you do that? So it's very disturbing to see the mass delusion. Not to mention, you know, the tunnels under 401 that he wants to build. I don't even, there's too much insanity that I can't properly give a coherent argument or point right now. But what's your Blue Sky name? Just look up my name. My name is probably below the video right now. If you see my name and the way it's spelled, just copy and paste that into Blue Sky and you'll find me. But I will link to it after this live is done. I will edit the description box to include the link. All right, a few more chats and then I will jump off. John, I can't tell if you're joking or not. John Nielsen says, get rid of that ageist Figueredo or I'll resubscribe. Do you mean unsubscribe? Get rid of him or you'll, oh no, and I'll resubscribe. How are you here if you didn't know? You must already be subscribed, otherwise you wouldn't be in here because you wouldn't have known I was live. John, are you lying to me? What else here? Okay. How do I just look at chats? Like super chat. This is poorly constructed YouTube. You search my name and can't find me. DAVIDDOEL.bsky.social. You should be able to find me pretty easily. Someone says you're very handsome. Thank you. Sig Knight says, can you make a video on how to deal with MAGA family during Thanksgiving? That's a video that I think is better suited for someone like Mike Figueredo. I really don't have family like that. Like, there are some people in my family that I'm sure I don't agree with some of their views on things, but it's not like a topic of conversation when I see them. Like, it's not disturbing the peace or anything. So it's like, whatever, you know, you have your views, whatever. I want to be clear. They're not like racist or xenophobic views. So because of that, it's easier for me to sort of look the other way and just be like, whatever. But when it comes to like MAGA people, I don't have those people in my life. So I got to be honest with you. I don't have advice because I don't know how to deal with those people if I had them in my life. I don't know. Mike Figueredo does. So he has a lot of opinions on that. I'm the worst person to ask for advice on that since I have a hard time even imagining having immediate family that are like that. The Wild One says, bring back the long hair. I will never grow my hair long again. It was too hard to wash. It took too long. It like, no one tells you this. If you have long hair, your showers are like double in time. You know, I could finish a shower in like 8-10 minutes. When I had long hair, it would take me like 15-20 minutes. It was insane. Reading chats here. Oh, look at this super chat. JD Bovey, thank you so much for your generous super chat. This is a great weekend to you and the family. Many thanks for the work. Thank you. Actually, today I'm going to have my buddies coming over. My buddy Miles, and we're going to watch the fights. We're going to watch, who is it, Jake Paul? One of the Pauls, I think it's Jake Paul. And Mike Tyson. That's going to be streaming on I think on Netflix today. So watching that, kind of hoping for like a double knockout. Is that possible? Like when they both punch each other and they both fall down? Can we get that? That'd be the perfect ending to that fight. But I don't know what to expect from it. I think it's probably I think it's hyped up and it's going to end up being very bad. It'll go like, you know, it'll go through all the rounds, go to a decision, and, you know, Mike Tyson ekes it out. But it's not, I feel like it's going to underwhelm. But I hope I'm wrong. Boxing, as my friend tells me, is just it's very fixed. And he's a huge boxing fan, but the actual, like, the way it operates, it's very corrupt. I wouldn't say fixed, but it's corrupt. All right. I could actually be here all day because I'm enjoying myself, but I should probably get off soon. But let's see if I can grab like one more chat in here. Let's see. Oh, someone sent a super chat. Brett says, thank you, Brett Taylor, for your super chat. I have a MAGA brother. Just don't let them gaslight you. There you go. There's advice to the person that was asking for advice. Don't let them gaslight you. I would just honestly, if you don't see them that often, you don't have to get in a conversation. you don't, you, I would put it this way. Again, this is from somebody who I'm not confronted with the situation very often. But the most you can hope for, at most, is planting seeds. Because they're not going to change their mind in the conversation you have with them in that moment. That's like I know enough people like that to know that. It's very hard to change someone's mind who is stuck that way. All you could do is like plant seeds, but at the same time, you don't have to get into a confrontation with them. You don't have to, it depends on the situation, obviously. Like if there's some active hate being spewed, I can understand not wanting to let that slide. But don't initiate it, I guess, is what I'm saying. It's just, I just don't think it's worth it. Unless there's somebody who has like power and they're a politician or they're on the news and their hate is active in worsening the world around them. That's a different situation. But, people being wild in their own little world and having no real impact on society is less of an issue, because the greater issue, of course, is how media operates, what politicians do, people that have actual power, what they do with their power. That's what we should be most concerned about. All right. John Fire Sound says, has Canada fully digested Trump's win? Here in the UK, we are going through it for real. I mean, I just know people in my own life, they're like, I can't believe he won again. Like we are amazed for obvious reasons. I mean, the man won, things were a disaster, and he comes back and wins again. I broke down this past week, looking at charts and data, why it actually made sense that he won. I'm not saying he should have won. Of course, he shouldn't have won. But in terms of predicting it, based on the fact that every single democracy that had an election in 2024, the party that had power lost power. Every single election, that's the first time it's ever happened in like 100 years. And on top of that, you look at data like all the pandemic era programs that people were benefiting from, all of them ended while Biden was president. So imagine all of this help that people needed even before the pandemic. They finally got some help. These programs, were in existence. Some of them passed by Biden himself, and then they end while he's president. Now, whether you want to blame, the Republicans for not voting for them, or blame Sinema and Manchin for watering down some of that stuff, I get that. But just looking at it from the voter's perspective, who doesn't know a whole lot, hey, I had this thing, it's now gone. Who's in power? The Democratic Party. Let's throw them out. So just based on that alone, I could see why people who don't pay too close attention would be like, screw it. I don't want to, I hate my situation. I'm going to vote against whoever's in power. That said, how do you think it's going to be better with Donald Trump in power? Would be my next question to those people. But some people apparently thought that. So, I guess they're going to see for themselves. I don't know. It's hard to, again, put my mind in their heads, because I can't imagine operating that way. Just such a surface level analysis of the situation and not understanding that things can and will get worse for them. But here we are. All right. I'm going to go enjoy myself. I got to run, do some things, and then watch that fight tonight while my brain turns off. That's what we all need. Find whatever. If you feel a little crazy right now for obvious reasons, find what makes you happy, and don't feel bad about enjoying those moments. Whether it's, family, video games, movies, watching Jake Paul get punched in the face, whatever it is, find what you enjoy doing and do that, because I know I've been doing that. Lots and lots of fantastic video games in whatever spare time I have. I eat that shit up. So that's what I've been doing. All right, go enjoy your weekends. Thank you all for showing up. I am delaying until I could find out where I end this video. Where is the end? Oh, I guess the X button is the end. All right. Goodbye. See you next week, or maybe this weekend. I may shoot something this weekend. We'll see how I feel. Goodbye. Look at this finger. Goodbye.